Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome back to the Country Clucker. My name is Noelle. I'm a backyard chicken keeper, blogger, writer, and published author within the backyard keeper niche. Today I'm going to break in. I'm working through my series of videos on winterizing your chickens, but we have had a event pop up on the Country Clucker farm. Yes, when you have chickens, it is never boring. Our flock has mites and lice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a video on treating mites and lice in the backyard chicken environment and how to do that. So first of all, I want to say that if your flock has mites and lice, you have done nothing wrong. Mice and lice are a natural byproduct of a chicken who has access to grass, sunshine, outdoors, basically their natural environment that many other chickens are deprived. So mites, it's very common. The vectors for avian mites and lice are obviously other birds. Another vector can be rodents. Just because you don't have a rodent infestation in your chicken pen or around your chicken habitat doesn't mean that they don't cross through your yard at night. You know, we live out in the country, so we get just a little bit of everything that comes across our property. So any kind of wild animal, squirrels, rabbits, just anything can be a vector for mites and lice. And the next thing I want to cover, which is the most common question that I'm going to get, and rightfully so, I understand the concern. The avian mites and lice that affect chickens do not affect humans. So the avian lice are species specific, even going back to as early as Eprinex and some of those other feathered dinosaurs back in the Mesozoic. There are some fossil remains and feather imprintations that do show pathologies of things like lice and other pathologies, other parasites that have been found in the fossil record. So these mites have been with the feather-bearing creatures for a very long time. So being that we don't have feathers, and that we have skin, and that we have body hair, and that generally we will bathe and wash and scrub our skin, with soap, washcloth, whatever, just about every 24 to 48 hours, generally most people, the mites and lice have absolutely no way to set up habitat. And even if you didn't bathe every day, still you lack feathers. So our bodies do not possess the habitat that the mites and lice need in order to sustain their life cycle. So yes, you may get a case of the heebie-jeebies or the creepy crawlies. Honestly, you will. I mean, the first time I dealt with mites and lice, I was like, just the whole heebie-jeebie, creepy crawly thing. But no, you're not going to be affected. You're not going to get mites and lice in your hair or anything like that. They may crawl on you, depending on how bad your outbreak is. They may bite you. But then again, it's not really all that painful. It's just more itchy. But here's the do's for those that have the heebie-jeebies, like me, when it comes to some of these buggies. The clothes that you wear outside to the coop, make sure you take those off, either in your laundry room, your mud room, garage, wherever. Put them directly in the washer, and first thing you do is shower. Wash your hair, wash your body, whatever. There's no need to scrub your skin off. Just believe me, the running water is going to be enough to get any mite and lice that might even be crawling on your skin. But I promise you, I have been doing backyard chicken keeping and writing within the backyard chicken movement professionally for 12 years. I have had mites and lice in my chickens every now and again. I've never had mites and lice on me. So I just want to put that out there and just say you're fine, you're okay. You're not going to get lice in your hair or anything from your birds. These mites are species specific and can only sustain their life cycle on an individual that possesses feathers, which is not human. So you're good. Okay, so The reason I'm going to do this little bit of an introductory video inside is because I have 13 roosters, and all of them love to sing the song of their people, especially when I'm out there trying to give important information. So when I go out, there's going to be all kinds of crowing, and I've had some comments that say, you know, it's kind of hard to hear what you're saying because your roosters keep interrupting. But yeah, I get that. They do. That's what they do. So what I'm going to do is in here, I'm going to give a little bit more of the background, a little bit more of the academic information that you need in order to treat your flock for mites and lice. And then I'm going to take you guys out in the backyard, and I'm going to treat the clucker group today. I have like 5 coops. I'm just going to do 1 today because I've got to do this in shifts because my flock is so large. And so the cluckers are my largest coop, and they're also my largest birds. And so I'm going to do them today. But before I go out there, I've got my little handy dandy notebook here. I'm going to go through some notes with you guys, information that you need. And then after I've gone through that, we're going to go outside and I'm going to perform treatment of lice and mites in my flock for you. Okay, so there are several treatments that you can use for mites and lice. One, I'm trying to think the name of it. Actually, I'm gonna let that one go because that one is totally expensive, and that's not even one that I really like to use. So there's several things that you can do. If you are familiar, for cats and dog owners, if you are familiar with treatments for fleas and ticks like Frontline, Revolution, some of those things, there's a product called Eprinex that I really like that is administered the same way. And this is one that I personally like because the ease of administration to get it onto your birds is very easy, and it's also very effective. So what I'm going to be using today is Eprinex. You can find this at farm and fleet stores. So if you've got like a farm store nearby, you can use this. It is specifically made for cattle. So when you go to buy this, and I'm going to put a little clip after this segment of my video and be going to my farm and feed store and purchasing this, so you can see where it's usually kept with the cattle things. You're not crazy. This is made for cattle, but at low doses, it is safe for chicken, and I mean very, very low doses, and I'm going to go through that here in just a minute. So what this is when you're looking for this, make sure that you get the pour on. So pour on, okay? Because there is an injectable that you have to actually, like a shot, a vaccination. I don't normally mess with anything injectable unless I absolutely have to. But the pour on is what you need. Okay, so inside your box, you're gonna find this. This you do not need. This is to actually pour it onto cattle, which, we're not gonna do. But you will have inside your box, you can see inside the box here, you've got 2 things in here. This is what you're going to be using to put on your chickens. Okay. So, like I said, this is made for cattle. So this is made for very, very large animals. So the dosage that you're going to need for your chickens are very, very, very small. So I'm trying to put this back in here. Oh, great. Instruction manual. There we go. Okay. So for your standard size chickens, you are going to need 3/4 cc. So if you're not sure what a cc is, if you can remember back to high school when you talked about the metric system, milliliters is also the same. So 3/4 cc or 3/4 milliliters are interchangeable. So if you have, mine is outside, I should have brought it inside, but you have like a little syringe. Remove the needle because you're not going to need that, and just use the syringe to suck the solution out of the bottle, and you have your measuring units on your syringe. And so for 3/4 cc, I will put that on a standard size chicken. Now, I normally put it in 2 places, actually 3, depending if you have a crest, but I'm going to do the 2 right now, is behind their neck. So, like your cats and dogs, you generally administer Frontline, Revolution, the flea tick solution behind their neck so they can't lick it. You do the same with the chickens, and then also if you have a lot of mites and lice, I will also put it around their vent area, because that is also an area that a chicken has a little bit of trouble reaching, and so I will put it there to address any active mite and lice situation that may have, which I'm going to have today, I know, because I picked up one of my girls and has mice and lice, so now I know I've got to treat the whole flock. The third place you will put it is if you have any crested varieties, like your Polishes or your Silkies, you're going to want to put a drop or two on their head, like up there on their crown and their crest, because they can't preen those places, so mites and lice will basically live rent-free there. So those are some places that you want to put this. Now, for a bantam-sized bird, I will use 1/2 cc. So again, syringe, no needle, suck it up, use the administration, and this is per member, per individual. So for the standard size, you get 3/4 cc. For the bantam size, you'll get 1/2 cc. So the things that you're going to need for this project is going to be your Eprinex, right here. You're going to need a syringe with the needle removed, and of course I'll show you all that when I get outside to the girls. Another thing you're going to need is gloves, because like the front line for cats and dogs is absorbed through the skin, this is also absorbed through the skin. So you're going to want to wear rubber gloves or something as a barrier, because, I mean, you don't need to be treated for mites and lice, but yeah, I generally don't like that to be absorbed into my skin. So you're going to want to wear some gloves just for your own protection. And then the last thing you're going to need is some chickens that need Eprinex due to mites and lice. Okay, so the MSRP for Eprinex is anywhere between 40 and 60. It depends on the location, and so once again, after I do this segment, I'm going to do a little blurb, like a little video of me actually purchasing the Eprinex, so you can see what you're looking for, because there are other products there that look like this. That way you make sure you're getting the right thing. And again, farm and feed stores, so if you've got something, I mean, I found it all different kinds. There's not just one, so just whatever's closest to you that you do business with is where, you know, you can find it. Another question I have is egg withdrawal. Now, Eprinex is not FDA approved for use with mites and lice in chickens. So basically what that means is the FDA has not taken specific funds and done specific tests on chickens with Eprinex to prove that its effectiveness or non-effectiveness. So on the box here, there's no recommended egg withdrawal. Anytime I do any kind of treatment for my girls, whether it be internal parasites like worms or external parasites like mites and lice, I will always do a mandatory 10 to 14 day egg withdrawal. Just in general, because that gives the product enough time to get into the chicken system, do its work, and then usually by about 10 to 14 days, you will have no residue in the eggs. So there's no test that says, yes, it does pass into the egg, or no, it doesn't, because it is not FDA approved for use in chickens. But at very small doses, Eprinex is very effective in chickens, and I know that because I've been doing this for 12 years, and it is my go-to for dealing with mites and lice because it's very simple. It's one of the more affordable things to buy. There are other products that are meant just for chickens, but they are upward of $100. And so I usually don't. I'll try to link I can't think of the name right now, but I'll put the link in the description so you guys can check that out and you can make your own decision versus Eprinex versus some other products that are out there that are recommended for mites and lice. I have talked to some chicken owners that actually have used Frontline on their chickens, but I've never done that, so I really can't speak into the effectiveness on that. But I have used Eprinex. This has been my go-to for the past decade, and so my experience with this is very positive. It's very effective, and as far as the MSRP is concerned, it's affordable for most people. So, so yes, do a egg withdrawal for 10 to 14 days, and this is just a precaution because once again it's not FDA approved, so there's no test that shows yes it does, no it doesn't. I just err on the side of caution. Now this will remain effective on the chicken for several months. I'm not exactly sure how many months because I normally will Eprinex or I'll treat my chickens for mites and lice usually around Thanksgiving. And then I'm going to do it again around Valentine's Day. And the reason I generally do it in the colder months is because during the colder months, the ground most of the time is inaccessible for my chickens for dust bathing, because it's either wet or covered with snow or hard. And so the dust bathing is the natural behavior, instinctive behavior that a chicken will perform in order to keep her feathers in good condition and also keep mites and lice at bay. But also in the wintertime, chickens run a temperature, or they have a body temperature between about 107 and 109. So their bodies are just absolutely warm places for mites and lice to kind of congregate when it's cold outside. So generally, I will have more problem with mites and lice in the colder months than I will in the warmer months. So I generally Eprinex around Valentine's Day. This is December 3rd, so I'm a little late, but we had COVID, so I really was not physically able to go outside and wrangle up a bunch of chickens and Eprinex them. So I'm a little bit late on my Eprinexing, but I do it usually twice in the wintertime around Thanksgiving, and then again around Valentine's Day. And then usually by the time April, May gets here, the chickens, they just kind of do their own thing with it. But I do keep an eye out for mites and lice year round. But I do find that in my experience, the winter months have been more problematic for mites and lice than the warmer months. Let's see, make sure I've gone through all my notes. Okay, now mites and lice, a lot of people say, well, do I have to treat that? Well, the problem with mites and lice is if the parasitic load is very large or high for an individual, given her age, given any other pathological things that she's dealing with, some other pathologies, whether it be, injuries or her age or her breed or whatever, mites and lice, if it goes undetected and if it goes untreated, they will literally suck the life out of your chicken. They will literally suck the blood out of them until they die. In fact, I lost one of my girls. This is why I'm doing this today, is I lost one of my girls due to a mite and lice infestation on her body. She was one of my older girls. She was one of the girls that were more of my sickly girls, so she tended to have more issues with just general things than most chickens did, which is why I usually keep on my mites and lice and worm treatment for her. But for some reason, she got a bout of mite and lice, and it was bad, and I treated her as soon as I saw it. But once again, she was just very old, and she had already been having some issues, and she was just not able to withstand the mites and the lice even with treatment. So I had to humanely euthanize her because I knew that she was going to suffer. And so, yes, mites and lice, if they go untreated, will kill your chicken. They will just literally have the lifeblood sucked out of them. They will become very anemic. They will become very weak, and they won't be able to defend. Their body won't be able to defend against other, pathologies and stuff that is out actually in the backyard and in their surrounding. And in her case, she was old. I mean, if it wasn't mites and lice that would take her, it would have been something else. And so I just kind of had my eye on her, knowing that she was pretty much my weakest member. And I made sure I picked her up about every week, looked at her, made sure, her vent looked good, make sure everything looked good. And then I got sick with COVID. I was kind of out of it for about 2 weeks because I was really sick. I got a lung infection afterwards. And then when I went out there to check on her, she had just a full-blown case of mites and lice. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to try to, she's just weak. So I just, humanely euthanized her. But yeah, that's an extreme case. But yes, mites and lice will basically suck the life out of your chickens if you don't treat it. So this is why I do it twice during the colder months, is around Thanksgiving and then around Valentine's Day. I just use those days as just approximations. That way by the time what I do now is starting to wear off, I'll put it in, I'll put them on again, I'll put it on them again in February. I can't speak today. And that will just keep the protection going until the warmer months. But even in the warmer months, they can get mites and lice, and I generally look out for it. But typically, their natural behaviors with dust basing and stuff during the warmer months when the ground isn't frozen and wet, usually allows them to do their natural behaviors to keep most of the mites and lice at bay, which is why the winter months are generally more problematic for them, at least in our environment. Okay, I'm making sure I have covered everything. Oh yes, you're gonna see me doing several things. So, generally, if you have a larger flock like mine, I have about 60 members. I'm going to have to treat absolutely everybody. It's usually good if you have some helpers that can go help you, get the birds. So I've got my helpers. They're going to go get the birds, and they're going to bring them to me one by one. And you're going to see me do several things. One, I'm going to check their vent. The reason I'm checking their vent area is because this is usually where mites and lice are going to set up camp, because it's warm. The chickens can't preen there, and they can live rent-free. So I will check their vent area, and if there is mites and lice crawling around their vent area, I will put some Eprinex on their vent, near their vent area. I will put it behind their neck, and then in my crested breeds, I'm going to be checking the top of their head, because mites and lice can live there rent-free as well, because the chickens cannot preen the top of their head, and so I'll put a couple drops on the top of their head. Another thing that you're going to want to do, after you treat all of your birds, you're going to want to treat your coop. So there's different things that you could do. Normally, I'll just get, at my farm and fleet store, I'll just get a general all-purpose coop spray that just deals with anything and everything, that it'll just kind of, it'll spray inside the coop with a sprayer, which will, kill mites and lice and fleas, and something that's safe for chickens. Again, there's various products that you can use, but just any kind of all-purpose coop spray, or all-purpose, even a horticulture spray, something that will address the mites and lice in the coops. And I'll just spray the inside of the coop, and that's all you have to do. That's it. You'll do this once, and then again in February I will treat them again, and I will also treat the coop again. Just simply spray the coop, and that's all you really have to do. It's a very, very simple condition to treat. It sounds daunting, it sounds scary, and a lot of it is because there's a lot of misinformation on, if my birds have mites and lice, that means they're going to give lice to me. No, these lice are species specific. These mites are also species specific. Our hygiene habits and our body are not conducive to the mites and lice, to their life cycle. So they can't set up camp on our bodies and set up camp, although there's a lot of misinformation about that. No, I promise you, I've been doing this for over a decade, and I have yet to have mice and lice. Yes, very easy to treat, very simple to treat, and it's very effective, and it's very easy to do, and it doesn't really seem to bother the birds, besides the fact that some of them don't like being picked up, especially my roosters. So anyway, Eprinex is what I'm going to be using. So after this part of the video, I'm going to show a little clip that I recorded when I was out at my farm and fleet store purchasing this, so you can see the other products that are there, so that way you can make sure you get the right one, the blue box, not the black box. Promise. And then I will just see you outside in the backyard when I do my cluckers. Okay, see you in a bit.